We're here today at the Meeting Street School, and what we're going to be doing is running a test on the resilient surfacing that we just installed around the playground climber. As many of you know, when it comes to playgrounds and injuries, the most important thing is to prevent falls to the surface. In order to test if your surface is going to give you the protection, there's a specialized machine that's been created that will run us some numbers, and I'm going to explain that to you, that'll determine if the surfacing is thick enough and is suitable enough for the fall height of the equipment. So for today, we're going to focus over on this climber, and we take a look at what's known as the designated fall surface for the climber, and this unit right here is at 3 feet tall. So when we do our test, we got to take a look at what the numbers are going to read when it comes to where a child may fall. We're also going to do a second test just as a comparison to see what might happen to the surfacing and to the child with the resultant injury if they fell on top of one of the barriers or guardrails. And then the third test we're going to show you is, we know children do tend to play inappropriately. We're going to look upwards on top of this climbing structure, and just to see what might happen if somebody were to do something quite inappropriate and get on top of the climber. So the first test we're going to do is at a 3-foot increment, and I'm going to show you some numbers here. The way this works is we have a handheld computer device, and we have the head form. This is around 16 pounds. Inside this head form, there's a series of devices like little teeny balls. They're called accelerometers. When this falls to the surface, these little balls inside start bouncing back and forth crazy. This handheld computer is going to take some readings on the frequency, the duration, and how firm and how fast those little balls are moving inside. So right now we're going to start with our 3-foot test to see what the head fall might be on the designated play surface. And here we go. Boom. So after we do the read, we're going to take a look at here what's called peak. In this particular instance, the number came out 76. And we have something that's called the HIC, which is the head injury criteria. This came out to 253. These are fancy words, but essentially peak is the times of gravity, the force of gravity impact that the head form made with the rubber. If you go over 200, it's a bad thing. This right here came out at 76. The item that's called HIC, H-I-C, is a head injury criteria. Based on the impact, in this case 76, what kind of injury, catastrophic injury, would we expect? If you get over 1,000, that's where catastrophic injury and death start to occur in playgrounds. This tested at 253. So the surfacing as designed for the fall height of this equipment is beyond perfect. But let's take a look at what happens if we go a little bit higher. The next height that we have that we're going to record here is going to be 5.5 feet, which is the type of this particular barrier guardrail. So we'll take a look to see what that might read here. So this particular surface with a 5.5 foot fall, the force of impact, the G-force, is going to be at 109, which is still well below what's recommended, and the head injury criteria reading is at 592, which again remains very, very low. So the surfacing is definitely outperforming itself. Let's see what happens if someone's going to play on this totally inappropriately and get on top of the roof at 10 feet. And just prior to us starting this actual test, understand that this surfacing is not supposed to even come close to preventing a high reading with our G-Max or our HIC on top of the roof. That's just not how it is in the playground equipment industry. We would never expect a child to get up there. But let's take a look to see exactly what might happen at a 10-foot fall height. Now in this application here, the G-force impact came in at 160, which is a little high, just under the requirement. But the head injury criteria reading came in at 1428, which is abnormally high. If we were doing a piece of play apparatus that actually had a 10-foot high fall height, the surfacing that we're standing on today would probably be closer to 5.5 inches, possibly 6 inches, in order to maintain those low readings. This surfacing here is just a little over 2 inches, which is designed for a 3-foot fall height. But as you can see with this triax test, we have determined that the surfacing absolutely exceeds the requirements at the normal fall height of 3 feet. Plus, if there's an inadvertent fall over one of the barriers or guardrails, absolutely provides protection.